morning, Greg.
Good morning, David. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's another wonderful day.
It is. It is.
I regret my choice of where I put chat though, because it's really small.
I was supposed to be going to the zoo, but my son isn't feeling well, and
Yeah, it sucks.
that's what he wanted to do for his birthday with the family. So we're gonna reschedule that.
Yep. There's nothing like a good zoo trip. Nope.
Yep.
I heard, speaking on the zoo topic, I heard somebody's like, zoos are bad because they're animals are in captivity. I'm like, most of them run as conservationist things. Like,
Oh, yeah, and they just had a gorilla born at the zoo in Calgary.
yeah. So
Baby.
zoos are great. Um, I gotta click a thing. Hold on.
All right.
You
What's
know.
the thing? The thing.
Once I find it. Shout out to Ray. He watches and moderates a bit of the chat here and there, so we appreciate him. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna click this button and this button. Thank you to all our wonderful Patreons. If you're on this list, you're awesome. Even if you're not on the list, you're awesome. But if you're on this list, you're more awesome. Thank you to Helge for
At the tree support level.
being up there, and you guys make the websites and the repository stuffs and all the behind the scenes happen. So thank you.
Yeah, and don't forget that if you're a member of our Patreon, you get to join us on Discord. So,
And I think we were talking, what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks?
That's for the Patreon one.
Oh,
the 29th.
Yeah, when we're going to do the next Patreon live stream. Yes.
So the next Patreon live stream is the 29th. If you join with Patreon before that date, even that morning, if you join, you get added to the Patreon group. And if you're interested in finding that out, it's patreon.com/3dmakeit.
Someone's asking a computer question in chat.
I'm a little bit leery of Ray, if you can.
It's personal preference.
Right.
If you're cheap, 16.
Yeah, at a bare minimum 8, and then move up from there.
Yeah.
Like if you use Teams and stuff like that, it takes a minimum of 4, and technically the OS takes 4, so then you would have nothing left to give.
Yeah. Most of my computers have 16 or more.
Yep. Just thinking what the ones here have, and I think 16 is the lowest, and 100 and something is the highest. So.
Yeah, I think this one has an insane amount. Just hold on.
Yeah.
Because I recycled some server RAM in the server a long time ago.
Recycling. Let's see. This one has 32. I'm on 32 here. Also, a friend of mine recommended this channel to me. He says he knows you from school. I know Manny Joe's. But yeah, good chance if you're from the school division, you know, or we know, or he knows. So.
Well, thanks for joining us, Greg.
Yeah, thanks for helping on. So Raymond just popped in. The Voron build's going to be the death. Only get to work on it for about 2 days or so. Yeah, the Vorons are
Hour or two a day, he says.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah, some of the it's time consuming. I agree, Ray.
Just keep on building. You'll get there. So there are a few new things, like in general, out in the community. Some of them we had to Google really hard, just to find out like what it was. But as we know, Big Tree Tech makes all sorts of things, and they're always coming out with their next revision. Oftentimes you can find the revision notes on the
GitHub.
GitHub. Thank you, Greg.
But not all of it's there yet.
No.
It's not officially out. So
Yeah. So like we're talking, if you don't know, we're talking about the Big Tree Deck SKR3 EZ. Couldn't be more of a mouthful. So
yeah.
right now what we get is this Facebook page. If you guys can listen to Greg and let me know if he has voice on this screen share this time.
I hope you guys can hear me.
I left our videos up there just so it wouldn't mess us up.
Yeah.
But so like the E3 board here, it definitely we've been seeing this actually on a few boards now where they're turning the stepper drivers.
Just like a 45.
Yeah. And so well, I'm gonna get rid of my picture because it's covering some stuff.
Kind of interesting. They also showed a picture on one of their sites of the SKR3, which has the steppers in the traditional. But I don't know if they're manufacturing that, and they were just like, "Which do you prefer?" A little thing, and so they basically took the capacitor that was normally underneath the step stick, put it off to the side there, and then they have the new slot, the easy socket or whatever. Now, I don't think you can stop people from putting those easy ones in backwards, but maybe there's more protection on them. And I'm not sure. I haven't seen enough of them to know what the cooling's like.
Yeah. So here's the regular board, and then is that an SMT? Okay, so it has an SMT driver on it, and that's not. I mean, we're still running short on the LPC drivers. Like there's still more of a problem getting those, right?
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of the SKR2 board. The layout. They've got the new Wi-Fi connector on there, and then CAN bus, all the standard stuff. But they did put some resistors, some pull-up resistors, so you can put a PT1000 on there and whatnot, which is kind of nice.
Like Stig's comment, no matter how easy things get for people, they'll still manage to mess it up. You
can make it as easy as for someone, and they'll be daring enough to force it in there and wreck it.
It's like RCA cables, right? There's 3 colors. You tell me how they work.
Colorblind though,
I guess, but none of them are. Well, RCA didn't have green and red. But, so like, I think one of the form factor might be a thing. It could be a little bit smaller.
Well, it looks,
but not really. It just looks like a square.
It looks like the SKR2 size. Really. I mean, I don't know the overall dimensions, but very similar.
Well, it looks like here. So I just flipped up. So this is like the normal SKR footprint board. So if you guys don't know, like there's been a few revisions of the SKR board.
The regular 3 and not the easy.
That's
3.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So this is what the regular board looks like, and this footprint has been around for a long time, going back even before Big Tree exploded on the board scene. Other companies had this 4-screw post kind of.
Yeah, MKS used the similar format.
Yeah. And so when you look, like, just looking at them, this one's more square, the easy. So, I mean, you might have an excuse to design a new controller box. That could be fun.
That's true. The other notable thing on this board is it supports all of the firmware. So with the chip they chose, you can use RepRap, you can use Marlin, or you can use Clipper.
I want to use Sprinter. Is that a problem?
Sorry?
I want to use Sprinter. Is that a problem? It's not a problem. It probably just won't work.
How about Sailfish? Can I use Sailfish on it?
Dominic said God gave us rubber mounts for a reason, and then Ray's like, just smack it with a bigger hammer. Um, Steak says, I was thinking about rebuilding my CR10S Pro using an SKR Mini 3V2. Not sure if it would work, but I'll give it a go.
It should work.
So like the only thing that I ever noticed, like, so I went to an SKR, I don't know, 1.4, maybe 3, I forget what was out, but
Yeah.
we had to drill a hole in the side of the controller box for the USB cable.
Yeah.
That was the only thing.
The only reason I would say use a slightly bigger board is because you have the dual Z set stepper. You could get additional functionality out of it, right? You could use the G34 to level your gantry before a print. So that would be the benefit of having an extra stepper, whereas you only got 4 on the E3 Mini, right? It doesn't have 5, correct? Yeah.
You are correct. The turbo would be a good option. It has enough steppers.
So the turbo or something like this, or just the regular SKR 3 might be good. Now, we have been burnt in the past
several times
with the launch
hot ends are hot
board. So you may not want to rush out and get this one.
Well, he was saying his, what was it, the 3? His was the SKR E3 Mini.
Yeah.
So that one's been out for a bit.
No, I know, but I'm just saying for the SKR 3 or 3 EZ, when the SKR 2 launched, they got subbed out a bad chip, and that chip caused people to fry steppers. Yeah. So they put a protection feature in. Now they fixed it fairly quickly and whatnot, but maybe I'm a little gun shy because I had one of the bad boards, but luckily we have a talented friend who's really good at surface soldering and who removed the chip and fixed it for me.
I mean,
thanks, Vince.
That's
yeah,
the trap with these boards. Yeah. 6 months. If it's a board that's out, wait 6 months before you buy it. Just to make sure the kinks are working.
Well, it might take that long just to get it with the everything going on now. So although they launched it, don't know when it will actually get to resellers like your favorite local reseller, or when you'd actually get it from AliExpress if you ordered it.
I'm just gonna look that up. I thought the form factor was like, it does give you 2 ports on the board, but I don't think they're independent.
No.
I think they are like together.
They share the stepper, so then you can't run the motors independent. Yeah. So yes, you can run 2 steppers off of the single stepper driver, but the benefit to going to a separate stepper driver is you control them independently, which allows you to actually, you can actually level your gantry better. You can have 2 stop switches. And so when the gantry comes down, if it's cockeyed, when it stops in the one switch, it'll keep going and then stop in the second switch. So there's 2 ways to level your gantry: is get your end stop switches for the gantry correct. That's what the SKR, the Chiron does. And then if you have a probe of some sort, you can use G34 to auto level your gantry and bring it really into true with your bed. So
into true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so when you look at, I'm going to throw it to the screen share here again. And I found just so Greg knows because he can't see until I hit transition. It's the pinout for the SKR 3 V2.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, like you can see if you look at the board, there's 5 ports, and 2 of them are going to be for Z, but you can see here there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 stepper drivers, which means the Z is legged together. So
Yeah.
even though it looks like there's 2, there's only 1 now. Is that an issue? No, that's how your current one runs. But if you wanted to, like Greg said, if you wanted to use like the advanced G34 and that stuff, you might want to consider it. Now, on the same vein of questions, Dominic threw out in chat there, like, yeah, he got an Ender 3 from his grandson, so congratulations. But is it worth putting another lead screw on an Ender 3? Now, I don't think so, but what do you think?
I don't think, like, unless you're going to do like what we just described and put in a board that runs the gantry, but
yeah,
it's such a short arm on the gantry.
Yeah.
And if you've got it dialed in, I don't know if there's much of a benefit. There's a little bit of benefit, but there would be more of a benefit if you had an extra stepper to drive that extra motor so that you could then actually use it in a leveling or a truing up process with the G34 or something like that.
Yep.
Other than that,
I can't see like so the CR10 when it first came out came with 1 lead screw, and that was an upgrade lots of people did, and it makes sense on that one because it's heavier.
Yeah, and the gantry's longer.
It's longer.
The first you go out on that gantry to the other side of the bed, you're pulling down, right? So if you can keep them both up and steady, you'll also see a lot of times if they don't have a second stepper driver, they'll link the two Z screws on the top with a pulley and a belt to try to compensate for them once you get them level, to compensate for them maybe when the power goes out or whatever for dropping. So they tries to keep it even. So that's like a poor man's keeping it your gantry level technique, is tying the 2 lead screws together. And that's, I guess, what you would probably do on, or a lot of people have done, because they don't have the second stepper driver.
They actually use that with 2 stepper drivers.
And that wouldn't work too well.
Well, it does, but it causes strain on the system, which is bad. Let's see here. So Stig says, what if one of the Z drivers malfunctions? And so that kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. Like if you had the timer on the top, it would probably survive and keep printing okay. If you didn't, one side would stop.
Yeah.
And at that point, it depends on the printer. If you had on a small printer, probably nothing, you would notice nothing. On a big printer, you'll notice the one side fall.
But if any of your steppers fail, you're going to notice it.
Oh, yes. And you'll probably replace it.
Yeah. So,
but that's also the advantage of like when we're talking about the SKR E3 and we're like, go to the just normal SKR, just because you have the dip.
Yeah, you can swap out your actual step sticks.
Whether they're easy or not, you can swap them out.
Which kind of brings us to a bit of a next topic. If we're talking
bit of a next topic.
Or a complete next topic.
Oh, okay.
I just transition smoothly.
Sorry, I ruined it.
So
actually on that board page we were looking at, it's going to flip back to that screen share.
We noticed something.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. So you see the motor driver support section here. And I wish I could make it bigger. Oh, I can. Look at that. Just the picture gets smaller. Perfect.
The one thing that I kind of, the first thing I noticed was the voltage of what the board supports. Mm-hmm. And they said up to 48 volts, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, I think even was it the Pro? I think the Pro is the first one to do it.
Yeah. And I think you need a 5160 or 5161 driver to take advantage of
Hmm.
that higher voltage. But there was another thing we noticed on here.
Yeah, so if you look here, um, there's a new, not new, but a newer, the 6609 stepper driver is listed as a supported driver, as well as like all the regular TMC drivers too. So, but when you look at the EZ, we were kind of curious on that one. Does anybody use them yet? Just throw that out there in chat.
Yeah,
Anybody jump on that board?
they're pretty new, and we were trying to. I was originally looking around, and David finally found it, trying to figure out who the heck even makes this.
This one.
So
like SK has the 6609 chip.
SX.
Oh yeah, sorry, we were even talking about that, and I was like, that's definitely an X. But it's a low noise stepper. It's 36 volt, so 4 to 36, so wouldn't use the full range of the board. But it does offer very similar operating temperatures and driver features as a 2209.
Yeah, and apparently, as far as we can tell, and we've been, it's been hard to find, exact information, but it looks like it uses UART.
Mm-hmm. UART is listed as a feature set on it.
And we don't know if it's currently in Marlin or it's going to be in the next release of Marlin.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. But it, like most of the chips, a lot of times they keep them compatible. So you might just need to choose like a 2209 in order to, utilize the features. But it's hard to say. We don't know enough yet, but it looks interesting.
Yeah, and I have another to see if we can find it. So like if you looked at lots of screen moving today. Sorry, everybody's gonna get sick. So if we look at this pinout diagram of this is the 6609s. So it actually kind of mirrors the 2209, 2208.
No, we're not sure if this company is like doing a bit of a clone.
I feel like it's kind of like it's not TMC anymore. So that's one thing. It's a different brand.
The SK.
Yeah.
Or SX.
SX. Now, they might not be the only manufacturer, but that's what we could find out in the amount of time that we were allotted, which was very little. So I just want to throw up. Sorry, you're gonna get sick again, everybody. If I can get this one like this, and then I get this one like this. Okay, so you can see like on the left is a 2209, and you have ENMS2. So they do have a slight. There's a spread pin and then the UART on the 2209, which is the send and receive. So the chipset is a little different. So you might need a new. You might need to wait for Marlin to roll that in.
Well, it also depends on the manufacturer because they could flip that around or whatever with the pins when they're designing the little board. So.
Yeah, it's like when they did what was it? Now I can't even remember them. They make the white stepper sticks. I can't remember the name, but you couldn't use them with the Big Tree Tech boards, like just out of the box. You still had to use jumpers for a while, but I can't remember their names, so that's a useless statement if I can't remember. I'm just gonna pop into the GitHub here.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
Here's so let's learn together. Good news! They fixed the SKR E3 Mini V2 EEPROM. So if you're looking at that one, stick good news. They fixed that issue. 6609. We got nothing. So there is no driver support right now in 6609.
Well, in the nightly maybe. It's one of those things that it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
You got to dig through it a little more. I'm not seeing anything. I'm just playing.
I'm just gonna search up here in the whole repository. This is all of the Marlin, and it doesn't show it. So I'm gonna go. It's not supported quite yet. So if you are like, it might be something that we test for sure. But if right now you would either have to find the step stick board that kind of matched your pinout, or know where the override pins would go.
Right.
Which you could do. That's what we used to do back in the day. I don't know if anybody has here, but used to run dips. Little dip cables up and over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
Fun.
like the first MKS boards we bought 5 years ago or more. Like not only that, like you had to solder the leads onto this because at the time they didn't have like the Big Tree Tech wasn't producing 2208, 2209s, or even the 2130s. So you had to buy the water off versions.
And you have to jumper a little tiny solder pad in order to make it work. And
then you would solder on all your leads because the water
those
didn't come on. And it was good. It was good times.
Yeah.
I'm glad we live in the future now.
Well, and then you and Vince were talking about making a board like a hat to go over top to kind of solve that problem, and then the next revision of the board like solved it.
It did, yeah, because we had like a little, it would have been like a daughter board on top. Yeah. An Eagle CAD. All you need is a CNC machine. You could do it.
Absolutely.
Go figure. We have one of those. So
yeah, that's kind of interesting. Some of the new stuff. I don't know if anyone else has seen anything else. Hey Gary. Out there, but those were kind of interesting just to check that out and see that there's, even though that we have a chip shortage and this and that, there is still some movement on some design and whatnot. So that's innovation hasn't stopped; it's just stalled.
That's very true. I mean, we push forward as best we can. I mean, there are like, it's interesting if you look even like outside of the 3D printing into the adjacent like fields, where you think computers and stuff. We're getting very close to the end of innovation without going into quantum, and it's kind of mind blowing.
Well, it still blows me away that they keep getting like printing chips smaller. Like, I mean, they're talking that they're going to run out of room when they get to like I think it's 1.5 nanometer. Mm-hmm. and we're at 5 typically for some of the main chips that are built now. Mm-hmm. So unless you're Intel, and then you're actually at 7 still. But
wow, that's not a dig.
And then you pretend to call it 5.
Mm-hmm. Guys, we're 5. We're in the cool club.
Yeah, we're cool. They're doing what AMD did when they like, our speed is this, and it was actually slower. Yeah. And so now Intel's kind of doing it with their size, because size matters.
Stick says I still use the SKR E3 Mini 1.2, and they just work. Yep. They once you get a good board, it's good. Like, knock on wood, I've only had one. I think it was an SKR 1.3 that had to go back. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, I've been happy. The E3 is a great board, and I wouldn't steer my decision away like on the CR10 topic stage. Oh, it would be fine. It's just you're running one stepper driver
with or two stepper drivers with one, or 2 steppers with 1 stepper driver. Yeah.
So it's like, it's not a bad thing.
Corelli does it. That's how they ship all their boards. Corelli doesn't ship a stock with 2 independent drivers. I've never seen them ship one.
Doesn't the big boy have that? The Max?
No.
That's stupid. I mean,
it should have, but no.
So there's those kind of things they're upgrades, but do they impact your life? Maybe not.
No.
So that's why if you're making a decision, is it better to have two? If you can afford it and have the time to do it, then yeah, why not?
Both of my big boys back here, both of them have dual steppers drivers, so I can do G34 on both of them, and I love it. I have it in my routine before I started print, and works great.
See, and I don't use it at all. But I should probably on the new stuff. Like the CR10 format is probably still small enough where you don't really have to worry about it. But like the Chirons and the SX4s and the Voron was 2.4, I think it is, the big ones. That's probably a feature that is worth having.
And what's cool is on something like a Voron, when you have at least, depending on which model, either 3 or 4 axis to adjust the bed. You can do a multiple point on with the G34. You can choose your layout, and it will true the bed up to the gantry, and you can get it within 0.0002 or something like that. It's like really, really flat.
Really flat.
Yeah.
Super flat. The only thing, like I said, with mine when we did put an SKR in the, because Greg made his CR10S like an all-in-one almost.
Yep.
So like the controllers underneath the bed and that stuff. Mine's still in the original form factor, so I had to drill out that little metal controller box.
Oh, it's over there.
But it was easy. It was a drill. It was fine. So I have an interesting question for everybody, including Greg and me, but it's worded like this, and Greg read it wrong the first time, which was even more amazing.
It was really funny.
What's the worst, most impractical thing you have printed?
Yeah.
Like I'm talking like you wanted to change your life for the better, and you're like, I'm going to print this. And then by the time you printed it, you realized this is dumb. I'm going to go to the dollar store and buy what I want. So I have one example in my mind. But
stand that is too short to put a headphone on.
That, and like if you put those headphones on, it might tip that thing. So yes, headphone stand. I mean, some of it is design too, right? Like maybe somebody made that for like those itty bitty, Did you design that headphone stand?
No. This one, see?
It's all making sense now. We'll come to that in a second.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't even have my most impractical, stupid idea prints that I've made. But I will share it with you all. My wife wanted new racks in the cupboard for like cups on top, plates on bottom kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I printed a thing, and the first one I printed, it wasn't something that I had made, but like you put a cup on it and the whole thing buckled. It flattened. All the legs shoot out. Like, I'm like, what is going on? And so I'm like, well, we could fix that with like, wrapping elastic around the outside, but why would I want to do that? And so then I made one, and the one I made worked okay, but like when you get all the plates on, again, it was like, the load balance is, and like I didn't make it thin. Like it had like at least a centimeter on all the legs and that kind of stuff.
4 walls-ish.
Yeah. And it was beef, and like right now, like it is in use. It's just not in use in its purpose. So like when I think about impractical and the worst, fail thing, that's probably one of my big failures. Cause again, going back to the other thing is like, eventually we just got them at the dollar store for, I think it was $2 now because of inflation or whatever. But you can just get them and you put them in there and you don't have to mess with it. And it's just heavenly.
We got ones from the dollar store.
right? I mean, so there is just things like when you print it, you're like, man, this is the best. I'm going to solve a world problem with this.
And then no.
And it turns out you didn't. Now, there are things that I have printed. So, like I did some shelf brackets for like where like all the liquor bottles or the heavy bottles are. And like those are going 6 years, 5 years ish now. And they're holding everything up still just fine with no creep or anything in their PLA, right? So
Yeah.
for every failed print idea, so I'm not saying don't stop designing and thinking and problem solving, but like
Lots of practical prints that I use that are actually, very helpful.
I can't even show some of mine right now because my monitors are sitting on them. You know what I mean? Like
I've got drill bit holders
Yeah.
and I've got lots of those over here. I've got brackets to hold. I've got because I'm now officially old. Magnifying thing, and
Yeah.
I printed a stand or a bracket to go on the wall to go into it because the old one like got destroyed. So I've got lots of little practical prints that I've designed that work really well.
Yeah, that work. And thankfully, so with the question like the most impractical fail of a print, thankfully, when we do fail, we learn from that, and next time we can think about the design process and the concept as we're building it up, because again, like printing's a tool. So is it the right tool? Maybe.
You can't print something for everything, but you can try.
I know Stacey hates that. Whenever she's like, I need this, I'm like, I'll print it. It's fine. I'll print it.
There's some like prints like this that are cool.
Mm-hmm.
Is it useful for anything?
I mean, it's holding your bit, so.
Yeah, well, they're standard bits, so they're kind of like how many people love the standard bit. I'm a Robertson Phillips guy. Standard, no thanks.
I watched a thing on those bits that they were like the leading cause of injury on a construction site, and I'm like, I wouldn't doubt it. So like, yeah, that was tchotchke almost, like, but I guess you have something to do with your common bits now.
Exactly.
They can be a mouth.
Cool as there's magnets in here, so
they kind of stick in and stay.
They grab in.
Oh, okay.
So I paused the print and put magnets in the whole thing so they don't fall out. So
I like it.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, again, I'm not saying like, I'm not saying like don't print, but print with intent.
So in chat, what is your most impractical print? I haven't seen anyone respond.
They're all sleeping. It's early. Well, okay, it's before noon, so it's early.
It is early. But we should probably do another thing.
Yeah, hold on. Friends, 1 second. I gotta throw, hold on. So, I'm gonna do this one and this one. Let's do this one first. Okay, friends.
Right.
Thank you for being friends. So if you're our Patreon, thank you. Got a few up there. Else, thanks for being at the top. Again, if you missed at the beginning, we do Patreon only live streams where we all get together, hang out, and chat. Not to say you can't watch it, but your participation is geared definitely towards the Patreons. So thank you for these guys on this list. If you want to be a Patreon, it's patreon.com/3dmakeit. And then I'll put this one up. Yay. Like, share, subscribe. So if you're new, hit the subscribe button. Come along for the journey.
And if you're in chat, don't forget to hit the like, because the algorithm gods smile on us when you guys like our stuff. So if you do like it, we appreciate it. If you don't, okay. But please subscribe if you haven't, and hit that like if you so are so moved to do so.
Moved. And yeah, so hello, local maker. Hello. Well, I can't come up with an impractical prototype made. Oh, I'm sure you can. That's your challenge. So by the 29th, when we do the Patreon live stream, everybody has to show one complete failure of an idea that didn't work.
That's a great challenge.
To err is human, to not err is divine. No, wait, how's that saying go? I don't know. Okay.
I've had lots of like little design things where I'm like, whoops, I tried that. This one worked really well. This was in my trailer. It's the corners for the window.
Oh yeah. That would work.
For us, and it worked really well. So I mean, there's lots of practical prints that have worked.
Local maker says almost all of them. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, sorry, I hit the robot. So went to-doing. So we do have one more topic, kind of to wrap the day up with. Now, this topic is one of the things is not that new anymore, and one is very old and should die. And I'm not going to tell you which one is which.
One's refresh.
Yeah, one's new is the wrong word. It's like shiny new, rebranded new. And I've been finding a few differences, and I just kind of wanted to look at them and go over their value. Stig says, but I've made a bunch of stackable boxes I probably could have bought cheaper.
Stig, you nailed it there.
Yeah.
Printing organizers and boxes that take, a number of hours to print and whatnot, when you can probably get them at your local wherever for 1/10 of the price. That's a really good one. Now, if they're a real customized one that you can't, there's no way you could get a custom fit into like maybe some sort of case or something that you're doing. Like David does organizers for his games, right?
Yeah.
Those ones are fine, but if it's just to hold some screws and stuff, and
yeah, like some of them are overly complex. I wish I had some of the pictures. I don't know even if we're allowed to show them, but we went to a machining shop in Calgary recently, just to check out some of his. He has like 3-axis CNCs, and he had like the Maker Forge system. We talked about it once before.
5-axis CNC. He had a 5-axis.
He had a 5-axis. Yes, that's right. 5. But like when you looked at the sheer amount of what he's doing, some things, like he's like, some things you just can't lathe, so you have to print them. But then when you go and you look at like the printer, for the cost of the printer and like all that gear, he's like
$100,000.
Yeah, he's so like even at printing those parts, which come out just like stainless steel or whatever metal you are using, those things, if you can outsource them, are still cheaper for businesses like that. Like do all the design in-house, print the replica on Ultimaker or whatever it is, and then go, okay, yeah, this part looks good, and then send it away. But he's the guy you send it to right now. So he's, that's his, Raymond says, my dog's poop bag holder, $1.50 to buy at the dollar store, or 1 hour to design and 3 to print. Yeah.
Or of joy of designing, hopefully.
3 printing saved me from having to go in public to buy some things. Even if it costs more to print than buying it, it's totally worth it. I agree. Like during COVID, or the thing, I didn't want to go out. You can say that now. They won't buy your video.
There's custom things that you might want, or like, good luck finding a specific bracket for, they want you to buy a whole blind or something, and just to get, replace a bracket. Okay, yeah, it takes you a little longer, but see that's me. I like practical prints. I really do. I print practical, useful things. That's my favorite thing to print.
I print everything. I don't discriminate.
No.
I'm printing a bomb for Stacy, little model. Like it's based off of like the bonsai bill from
Yeah.
right, but then it has F on the side. So we're doing that, but I mean, on that topic of printing and practical use and modeling and such, we've briefly touched on before these two sites. I'm going to switch them over now. So Greg's picture's in the bottom because if it goes away, you can't hear him.
You can put me in the background too.
No, it's fine. Your face can be in there. Mine can be gone. Yours is in there. So there's two sites. Let's start off with that. Like there's more than two, but the two bigger repository sites that are starting up. Not starting up. One's been around forever. One is Thingyverse, owned by MakerBot, Stratasys. It's changed hands. It's getting worse as time goes on. The sorting, like they keep redesigning the front of the web page, and like you can tell they're working on parts of it.
Yeah, it was every time they redesign it, they break the search.
Yeah,
it's hard to find things.
So like I'm going to use actually an example here of the board game thing that Greg was talking about. We have a lot of board games, and some of them, the manufacturer uses the same box for all of them. So then like you'll get one and it doesn't quite fit. So I'm going to throw in the game in question is called Horrified, and it's a fun game. Now, luckily, you can see that there's lots of little action figures, cannibals, Phantom of the Opera, Horrified. So some of the stuff is actually topical this time. Now, when you look at like the actual result quality here, I would give it 3 out of 10, maybe. What do you think? I think that's about right. Like there's a Snoopy snow machine that comes up with the Horrified search. Like some of it is topical and the top, but some of it like the walking goldfish. Now some of the reasons these are showing up is because people have tagged their design wrong, and we could go into how to use Thingyverse but we don't have time to do that because you need 100 years and then it will change tomorrow. So we have Horrified. Now I'm going to do the same search, and I'm going to head over to a site called Printables.
Now, while he's doing the search, a little history. Printables used to be prusaprinters.org, and they spent a while locking down and purchasing the Printables name because they used to go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And they have rebranded so that it's more generic, so that everyone can use it as a tool, and it didn't sound like it was only for Prusa printers, right?
Yeah, because I think that was the big thing. Like even in its infancy too, if you were to go into a model, and we are going to go into a model, but when we look at Horrified over here, I'm going to pick this one in the middle because it was the only correct search result on the page. And you can see like this one was made by a fellow at Vesuvius. Now, if I go over to Prusa printers, instead of 100 wrong things, I've got 3 searches. Now, this is in part because there's less models at the moment on Printables. So don't think like this is like a search engine win, but it is. And the fact that you can see why the searches show up the way they do, because Mystic Tome made this Horrified organization with deck trays, and then since he made this, it popped up the next sticky search, or I should say fuzzy search, sorry, on his name. And then this one, I'm sure if we were to go in there in the description, it would have something along the lines of Horrified. So let's click this. Now, in the infancy of Prusa printables, you could, in the file section, when you looked at the files, it would actually include G code for Prusa printers, and they would have like a little AI thing that tried to vet it as it went up to the website, and then you could embed like if you have a Prusa printer, print this file.
Yeah, that can be dangerous. We've discussed this at length because if you upload just random G code that someone sliced, you don't know if they did put something malicious in that G code. And you know, if they slice it for, like, if I sliced it for my Chiron and put it up there, and you tried to print it on your Ender, it's not gonna work.
No, and I mean,
so it was an interesting idea, but it potentially could get abused.
Yep, and like you could put anything, like hide a temperature change mid print that would, go up higher than it should, and if you didn't have your firmware set right, you literally lost control of your printer.
Yeah.
So we can see here, like this screen and the printables, it's relatively similar. Like I get to see that this guy's hopefully, like, it looks like he printed this.
Yeah.
So I can see print success, and then it gives the model view, and these right here specifically aren't different than Thingyverse. If I pop over to Thingyverse, you can put up any pictures you want. You can see this guy printed all of his in red, which is actually kind of cool. But again, it goes through, and you can see like it's very, very similar because one is a remake of the other. Now, I'm going to show you something that started to aggravate my life about Thingyverse recently. I want to print this project. There are 8 files in this project.
Yep.
So I want to download them all.
Yeah, so click and then
nothing happens. So it just takes you to the section and you get to click all the download buttons.
Or you can download all at the top.
Nope. When I click that button, this is what happens. Just takes you to the download section. So I'm clicking this button and it's just yo-yoing. It used to work. It used to be that you would download and then it would zip it for you.
Yep. So now does
so Prusa, it has like, so you can go here, or printables. Wow. Printables, Greg. Printables. We can go to printables. You can download the individual files, but oh look, when it pops down here, again it yo-yos, but see, look right here, all model files. And now I have it.
Yeah.
So, and from like a UI standpoint, this website is better designed.
It's certainly quicker when you're navigating around.
Now, so I'll just look at the comments. Maker says, I'll never use somebody else's G code. Never do. Never do.
And Stig had a really good comment there. Don't go for someone else's precompiled firmware. And that goes back to, we get a lot of questions. Can you send me your firmware?
Oh.
No, but you could send me your config.h and I'll look at it and see
Give
maybe
a pointer.
it have gone wrong.
Yeah.
But sending a precompiled firmware for a printer that I've heavily modified isn't going to help you.
No.
No. It's one thing if you've got a bunch of enders that are stock and whatnot, and you want them all up to date with the latest firmware or something, or you want to get the advanced pause feature in there so you compile it and flash it on all of them because they have the same board. Okay, that's fine. But if you're doing anything custom, that's not the best way to go.
So I will say Thingiverse is really trying, because there was a point where you couldn't search for even Benchy. It wouldn't come up. Let's see if this works now. Yeah. So there's a model called CaliCat that's you guys have probably seen. It's very similar to Benchy, except it's a cat. And when you search for them, both pages are roughly the same. Like, I think you gotta put the space in there, and then eventually, So the fuzzy search on both Yeah. Yep.
They're
Yep.
getting better,
They're
but
getting better, but printables is only like 2 years old, and it's far
it's much
surpassing. So, um,
and that's that Raymond brings up another one. Thangs.com is the other one.
right, and
That is fairly recent, and
oops,
they're trying to bring it up.
so Thangs is an interesting one because not only does it search Thangs, but it can search other sites at the same time to get results.
Yeah. Well, do Benchy. Throw Benchy in here. So
We're gonna do a Benchy. So yeah, so Benchy's legacy. So Benchy actually, this statement is true and not true now. Benchy was gone from Thingyverse for a while, but you can see here this one's right on Thangs. So if I were to click this one, it'll take me to the Thangs page. Now Thangs is Thangs is the new Yegi. If you guys know what Yegi was,
and well, let's show them Yegi. So that's the other one, which
but
I'm not sure if Yegi incorporated printables and some of the other stuff, but it's kind of an aggregate search engine.
So I'm just gonna click. So like that one was the Benchy on there. If I click this Benchy, it pops me to Thingyverse, and you can tell if you're gonna stay on Thangs or not, because if it's the username with a face, that will keep you on Thangs, and if it's the SD card, or sorry, if it's the logo of the third-party site, then it'll take you there. So Thangs is like a multi-purpose resource searcher that does multiple sites, and like Thingiverse and Printables are just their sites. So here's Yegi. Now Yegi, although good, it is oftentimes slow, and it will oftentimes have lots of ads. So if you have ad blocker or something like that,
and I don't like how it, when you're typing, sometimes it auto completes weird.
It does. And then the fuzzy search. So here's my search for Benchy, and you can see like nowhere in the first line is a Benchy.
Yeah, that's true. There's Benchies there.
Well, like the second line has augmented Benchies.
Yeah.
Benchy holders. Like so the actual,
Benchy.
it's got like so many, like, so all of these things are now related to Benchy, but do you see Benchy?
I see one an RC boat Benchy, but no, I don't see the actual Benchy.
Right. Now if you did
in my mind, the very first thing that should come up, or within the first three, should be the actual original Benchy.
Yeah, now Benchy itself is not called Benchy.
3D
Benchy is the correct word for it. But so you can see like on Benchy's site here, if we look under the download section, Benchy's an example. This works for other things. So you can order Benchy. Greg, you could order a Benchy from Benchy.
Oh, man, that's actually kind of sad.
So like Thingiverse is at the top of their download. Umagine is second, and Umagine is another one of the.
Umagine. I've never even seen.
Oh, so Umagine is Ultimaker's version of Thingiverse. So it's very similar to Printables, but it just never caught off, or caught on, I should say.
They've got a pretty good list of, like, I use GrabCAD.
Yeah.
Calls.
I mean, so my mini factory was one that we've talked about a lot, and if I were to like put things in order of my searching right now, this tab says it all: Printables, my mini factory, Thingiverse, Thangs. That's the order of my of my search when I do models. But I don't see Printable on their list of downloading pages yet. You can get it straight from GitHub, which is interesting, and you can download like a sketchy zip file right from the link.
Wow.
Let's see what I got. This will be interesting. File Explorer, please. Okay. Oh. So it does give you the zip. Let's see. I'm gonna do an experiment, guys. We got like a minute left. Let's see, Greg. You know what I'm doing, don't you?
Yep. You're gonna see if it's broken.
Uh-huh. So this is the benchy that comes right from benchy. This is definitely a side topic, but that's okay. Why can I know? Close. Okay. Oh, because it's zipped. One sec. Let's put it in the downloads. Benchy. And oh yeah, you gotta go expert. That's right. Improves the size. And it is damaged. There's only 1,100 errors.
Yeah. and if everyone wanted to know that why there's always a ridge going around Benchy, because he's actually missing an entire layer. If you we don't even have access to the one that showed us the error.
No, no, but yeah, like right here, there's actually right under the window, there's a broken path.
And halfway up the bow too.
Yeah. So, but Benchy be broken. You can repair it, but it's actually still broken because it's just missing those. Yeah. But when you look at it in like a Prusa slicer or any slicer, it once you convert it to STL, it shades over those parts, and
it kind of fixes it.
Yeah, and then it looks fixed. But so when we're looking at, it's one of those things like, you're gonna use what you use. But I would highly recommend, and I'm going to be doing it in the next little bit here, is I'm moving all my stuff off of Thingyverse over to printables and then deleting my Thingyverse account once I can get the collections all sorted.
If anyone else has a site or something that they suggest that is maybe similar to printables or similar to things or whatnot, like Raymond threw in the chat, like that is their go-to.
Yep.
Would love to know about it.
Yep.
Because we're for some of our training sessions and whatnot, we give out, this is a good place to get this type of model and that sort of thing. Like you had a great one for the medical and
the bio one.
Yeah, there's if you want to print a bone or something for bio class or something, there's some great resources out there, and so David's found some really cool ones over the years, and so we're totally on board if you've got something that we can let other people know about and whatnot, or maybe it would just be good for us to know so that we could start using it too.
So as we are past the top of the hour, we will gear up to go, but there's just a few things before we go. And one we always say, so I'll say that one first. If you want to follow us, 3dmakeit.ca has all of our follow links for everything. We're 3D Make It everywhere. So Twitter, YouTube, Patreon, all of that. So just /3D Make It on those websites. Next weekend is a long weekend, and I am heading out in theory.
At least it's a long weekend here in Canada.
Yeah. So
maybe States, I'm not sure.
Stay tuned to the Discord on the status for next weekend. We're 90% sure it probably will happen, but if it doesn't, we'll pop it in there.
Yeah.
And then the weekend after, so that's the 29th? I think that's the 29th.
We're going to do our Patreon stream where you get to join us. If you're a Patreon member, you can join us, and you'll be live, and you can visit and chat and see how things are going with everyone. And so it's our little way of saying thank you and everything. So
Stig says long weekend, long live stream. I mean, I could live stream tipping my shed up. And I would like to throw this out there just so people can think about it. But I think we'll circle back in on the printables topic when everybody's here, so that we have a bit of and then we can have a forum on it. Because I know sometimes just typing in, I use this and then that's it, and it's like, oh well, I have a reason, but I can't type it all in. So we'll probably circle back on that one and the other. What's your most failed print?
And just remember that if you guys have any topics you want us to talk about or you want us opinion on, and a lot of times you'll throw that up in the chat, which is great. Yep. You can throw it in Discord. Discord. If you're not in Discord, feel free to put it in the YouTube comments or email us at info@3dmakeit.ca.
yeah.
You can always send it right to us. If you have questions or whatever, you can let us know there. And it's been great hanging out with all of you today.
Don't send zip files to us. We won't get them.
Yeah.
Ray says maybe I'll have the war unfinished. I have faith you might. On that happy note, enjoy the rest of your Sunday or whatever day it is for you. And then we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.